morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday morning. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. Hey, Roger. All right, welcome. We got more people joining. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Fulcrum Fundraising Mastery Open House. It's super cool to see everybody. I'm going to ask everyone, please share in the chat where you're calling in from today. And if you're a founder raising capital, how much you are raising. We'd love to hear from everybody. And also, please turn on your video. We'd love to see your faces. We got Ron joining here. Hey, Ron. Hey, Dave. Welcome. Welcome, Catherine. Welcome, Akshet. Sorry. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Will.
Hi, Ryan. Great. Dublin, Ohio, $3 million raise. Dwayne King, San Diego, raising $1 million. Yeah, please put in the chat. We'd love to see where you're from and how much you're raising. Good to see you, Ron. It's been a while. All right. Well, Sharn, I'm going to pass it over to you just to introduce yourself. And we're going to start with an introduction of our Fulcrum team. And then I'm going to go through the entire program of Fundraising Mastery and how we've helped early stage founders raise over $40 million in seed capital. And then we have an alumni joining us today, Roger Mann from Smart Response Technologies. Welcome, Roger, to answer some of your questions. And we'll have time at the end to answer questions. So to get started, I'll throw it over to you, Sharn, to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sharn Bassi. I am program manager here at Fulcrum. My role is, once you're in the program, it's all about getting you guys the exercises you need, getting you connected with a great mentor, supporting you through every single part of it. So I'm kind of your main person once you're in. Speaking of our mentor program, we have, oh my goodness, maybe almost 40 mentors now in our program. They've cumulatively raised, together they've raised $700 million in capital for their own companies. They vary across all industry sectors. So really what our goal is, once you're in the program, we pair you one-on-one with a great mentor. What else? I don't know what else to say. Will?
Yeah, that's great. I think we'll have more time for you to talk about the mentor program in a bit. So let's pass it over to Melanie Platt.
Yeah. Hi guys. It's so nice to see so many faces this morning. I'm Melanie Platt, but I go by Mel. You'll see me a couple times throughout the process. So I do admissions. So my background is in venture capital. I'm the venture partner here. So I'm kind of the last stop in the road when you guys apply to make sure everyone's a good fit. And then once everyone's in the program, I do coaching. So I spent the majority of my career at a San Francisco-based fund of fund where I helped manage $1.5 billion. I was one of 10 who helped do that. So I think of it as like an MBA on steroids, just without the, huge amounts of debt. So I help you guys basically get in the mindset of how to fundraise. So using my venture experience, I help coach you. I look at your pitches, your pitch decks. We talk through any issues that come up. So you guys get to meet with me every 2 weeks. And I'm, of course, just here as a resource and support throughout the program.
Great to have you both with us today, Sharn and Mel. So I'm going to go through some slides for anybody who joined late. My name is Will Sachs. I'm the founder and CEO of Fulcrum Venture Accelerator. And we are a venture accelerator based, we're remote, but we're based in Boulder and Nashville and now San Francisco, Hawaii, Toronto. Yeah, Sharn. So we've got people all around the globe, and every 3 months we scour the whole startup landscape for the top companies that are raising seed capital, and we help those companies succeed in closing that capital. And so far we've helped companies raise about $40 million, and we're just getting started. We've got big ambitions. So I'm going to show some slides here, and we'll go through what we're going to go over today. So this is our open house. The point of today is to get you to know us a little bit, and also for us to know you a little bit, answer your questions. I'm going to tell my story, and then I'm going to do an overview on Fulcrum and show you around the program a little bit, and so you can understand how it works and what it's like to be in the program. And then we're going to hear from Roger, our alum, about his experience. And then at the end, we're going to give away a free one-on-one coaching session with me. So Sharn's going to be selecting someone at random at the end. So we thought that'd be a fun thing to add in. So I'm going to start with my story here. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So my story is kind of like how I went from knowing nothing about business to raising $9 million and creating a company that ended up impacting the lives of millions of people. So I'm going to go over it quickly just so everybody has some context. So in 2009, I met my former partner, Katie, and we started fertility charting. And she told me about fertility charting, and I thought at first it was total BS. But then we started using it, and it really blew me away at how it helped her understand her body better. It helped me understand our shared fertility. And I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. So I remortgaged my house and had this vision of creating a fertility platform that would help millions of women and men all over the world understand their bodies better and create families, or avoid creating families if that's what they wanted, which was what Katie and I were using it for. So we built an app, and we got a little traction going, but we didn't have any money. So, we started doing some PR and growing organically, and we got some users, and we raised a friends and family round. So I raised $100,000 friends and family round from uncles and brothers and friends and some investors. And that helped us to grow the app a little bit and get some more users. It helped us, we made a new version of the app. We got more users. I raised another angel round. It was raised the first angel round of $350,000. Then we got some more people on the team. I raised another angel round of $600,000, and then another one of $750,000. And every time I raised these angel rounds, I noticed like I was running out of money within 6 months or 9 months, and it started to get a little old. Then we decided we were going to do hardware. We made this device, which is a connected Bluetooth fertility thermometer to help women seamlessly track their temperature in their mouth in the morning and send it to the phone. And we started manufacturing this in Asia, and that required a lot more capital. So at that point, I went out and I raised a $3 million seed round. And we closed that. Here's us at CNET. We launched the device. It was successful. We grew the team some more. And at that point, we hired another CEO. So I stayed on the board. And here's the announcement of the raise. We got covered in TechCrunch. And then I went to the board level and I helped the new CEO raise another $4 million. And then we sold the company to a company called PrimaTemp, which is another women's health company in Colorado. So here's the acquisition being covered. And in total, we raised 9 million, and the whole thing was like 7 years. So you might notice I raised more seed rounds than I would counsel any entrepreneur to raise. But having done that so many times, I started to see inside the matrix of what it actually takes to raise seed capital efficiently. Just an overview of fundraising at Kandara. So 100K friends and family, 350K angel round, 650K angel round, then a $700,000 angel round. Then I got tired of the angel rounds. We did a $3 million seed round. And then I left as CEO, stayed on the board, and we raised another 4 million, and then the acquisition. So that was kind of the whole process of it, the whole journey of it. And after I was out of Kandara, I said to myself, what am I going to do next? I just had this incredible experience of having this dream and being able to make it real, and then coming out the other end of it. And I just started working with entrepreneurs, trying to teach them what I knew, and using my experience of going through this process to help others. And that turned into Fulcrum. And the vision was I could start one company, or I could help start 100 companies or 1,000 companies. And that's what we're doing at Fulcrum. We're helping founders learn how to raise seed capital efficiently and get it done. And then we're taking a small piece of equity so that we are part of creating this whole portfolio of companies that's approaching 100 now, and in a few years will be 1,000. So that's what we do at Fulcrum. We help entrepreneurs, mission-driven entrepreneurs, raise seed capital and close seed funding. I'm going to skip a few slides here because I want to get into our process. So what I learned raising money is that as an entrepreneur, you can and actually need to delegate every part of being a CEO, except fundraising is the one part you can't delegate. You can delegate marketing, hiring, finance, product, sales, engineering, strategy, or operations. But as the early stage CEO of a seed stage startup, you can't actually outsource fundraising. It's the one thing. You can try and get support. You can get people around you, and you should definitely get the right people around you, but you can't outsource it. You can't hand it to anybody else or delegate it and say, hey, you go raise this money. And the reason is because investors at this stage want to talk to the CEO, and they're primarily betting on you. They're primarily betting on your plan and your energy and your ability to execute and your track record. And so as the CEO, you can't outsource this one skill. And so I realized if we can teach founders to get really good at fundraising, then they can bring in the money and they can delegate it. You can use the money to hire people smarter than them in all these other areas. And so it's one of the key skills for every early stage CEO to have. And that's where we focus. And how do we do that? You might be asking. So we take founders through a 5-step process. And this is the process that I developed at Kindara. And after a number of rounds, I realized this is how you raise capital. Like these are the steps. And I turned it into a metaphor from nature. And that metaphor, the steps are tilling, planting, watering, harvesting, and closing. And so just like in nature, if you had a field and you were trying to get a crop and you didn't water or you didn't plant, you're not going to get the crop. And it's the same with fundraising. If you follow this process of preparing first and getting your internal house in order, and then planting the seeds of investor desire by getting all your tools ready, and then watering those seeds and starting to do meetings, and then harvesting, getting your lead investor, and then closing out your round. If you follow these steps, this is the most efficient way to close seed capital. And all the time we get founders coming in saying, I need to close next month. And I say, well, have you been preparing? Like, do you have a bunch of investors who are already excited and know you and are ready to close? And if you don't, then you kind of have to go back and make sure you move through these steps of getting yourself certain and excited, then setting up your tools, then doing meetings and seeing if your pitch is resonating with investors. And as you're seeing if your pitch is resonating, you're scanning for your lead investor. And then you're signing on your lead investor and moving into harvesting. And once you've got your whole round committed, you're moving into closing. So I can go through this in more detail later if people are interested, but I wanted to break this down because this is the steps. These are the steps, and this is the process that we use. This slide shows it in a little bit more detail. In each stage, there's things to do, and there's a transition point between tilling and planting. So when you have full certainty in tilling, when you feel that high level of certainty that your plan is good, the amount you're raising is the right amount, you've prepared yourself mentally, you've got space, then you're transitioning into planting. In planting, you're creating all the tools that are going to help you get through your raise, like your investor lists and your funnels. And then you're moving into watering and starting to do meetings and using those meetings to get better and better and better, and scanning for your lead investor. When you sign on your lead investor, you're moving into harvesting. And in harvesting, you're getting commitments from the investors that you were meeting with and watering. And when you've got commitments for your whole round or larger than your minimum round size, then you move into closing and you get the cash in the bank. And what we do in Fundraising Mastery is we lead founders through these stages so the founders know where they're at. And as a founder, if you know where you're at in the process, all you need to worry about is, what do I need to do in this stage of the process to move forward to the next stage? And it vastly simplifies the entire process of fundraising. I know it can be overwhelming. Like there was lots of times when I would feel depressed or hopeless or overwhelmed. I'd get a bunch of no's and worry like if it was going to happen or not. And I developed this process to make it easier for myself and now easier for others to just know like, okay, I'm in watering. All I need to do is keep doing meetings, keep getting better, and keep scanning for that lead investor. Who's going to lead this round? And same in harvesting, closing, tilling, and planting. It's a little bit like riding a bike. Once you learn to ride a bike, you've got it. But when you're first learning, like you're falling off, you're skinning your knee, and we exist to help founders not fall off the bike and not hurt themselves and just get through this as fast as possible. Similar as baking a cake. You know, if you're going to bake a cake, you'd want a recipe, and this is a recipe for a successful fundraise. I know if I tried to bake a cake without a recipe, I would have zero chance of success. And it can be the same with a fundraise. Without a winning process, it can be very hard to actually do everything you need to do to line it up and get it closed. Same with like building a construction project, like building a deck. You'd want a set of plans and you want to follow those plans. And that's what we provide to founders. We look for founders who've been successful already in their lives and who are coming to the process of raising seed capital for the first time. So we look for people who can assimilate new information, take the plan that we're teaching and run with it and kick ass with it. Same with climbing a mountain. You'd want a Sherpa. So we're like a Sherpa for somebody climbing a mountain. All right, so that's the process. Now I want to tell a few success stories. So how does this actually work in practice? This is Paul Gamble. He's the CEO of a company called Nori. They're now in their Series B stage. You know, they raised their Series A, so they're in their Series B. He came to me in a similar position that I was in when I was building Kandara and said, you know, Will, I've been raising, I keep closing like $25,000 checks or $50,000 checks, and then I get a couple $100K in the bank. And then in a couple months, it's running low again, and I have to go out and raise it again. And it's painful, and I can't actually execute on what I want to execute on. And I said, yeah, I get it, because I was there. And so we came up with a plan to raise a smaller pre-seed round for him of 300 or 400K, and then to immediately transition into raising his proper seed round. And so we worked with him. He raised that 300 or 400K and then immediately transitioned into raising his seed round. He closed his $4 million seed round, and then he went off to close a $7 million Series A, and now he's executing on his plan. This is Alexa from Trip Abroad, Alexa Barker. So she raised $1 million for a travel company during the pandemic using our process. So I'm pretty proud of that because it was during the pandemic when there was no travel happening, but she applied the process and she was still able to raise. This is Mohammed Shetta. He raised a $4.3 or $5.3 million seed round coming out of our program for his company Eyes Tech. It's a health tech startup. This is Krishnan. He raised, actually, I think he raised a smaller pre-seed and then a $4 million seed coming out of the program. This is Anisha. She raised about $1 million for her progressive skincare line in the Middle East. This is Mark. I think he raised 750K pre-seed for Expectful, and then they sold Expectful just this last year. And then Sovic raised $1 million, and they're putting together a seed round now. So just some success stories so you get the idea of the different founders and how they've had success with the program. Daniel Nordberg raised $1 million for Playground, which is a new television channel for kids. So great. If people have questions, please toss them in the chat. And Sharn, would you lob me questions if any come through? Great, thank you. So I'm going to go a bit through the program structure now, so everybody gets a taste of how this works. So here's a breakdown. We do investor meetings on Tuesdays and Fridays. So every Tuesday and every Friday, there's a session with an investor who comes in to talk to our cohort, and our cohort members, our founders, get the opportunity to have mini coffee date meetings with the investors that we bring in. And so this is an incredible way to network and build your investor connections, but also to get candid feedback on your pitch and on your idea in a private context where you're going to get really dialed feedback. And so it helps our founders get their pitches and the way they talk about their companies dialed really quickly. And we do that through the entire 3 months of the program. So that happens on Tuesdays and Fridays. Then on Thursdays, we have either a 90-minute live session with me where I teach the 5-step process: tilling, planting, watering, harvesting, closing, or we do a working session where we all get together and work through the process. So as a cohort, we all move through this process over 3 months. In addition, there's one-on-one coaching. And I'm going to pass it over to you, Mel, to talk about the stuff that you deal with in your one-on-one coaching sessions with people.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll just touch a little bit more on my background briefly. So while I was in VC, I since it was such a small firm, they called themselves a boutique VC firm, even though we managed such large amounts of money. We were a fund of funds, so we went out and raised a $250 million fund. So I have experience raising large amounts of capital. It's a little bit different because you're dealing with pension funds and endowments, foundations. So a little bit slower, a little bit older. And then on the other side of that was working with deal flow. So if you think that your pitch decks are generally going to the partners of the VC firm, I'm here to tell you they are not. They are going to people like me who say yes, no, all day. I've seen hundreds of pitch decks. I've told, many people yes and many people no. And what I saw was there was a disconnect between what founders think they should showcase in their pitch decks or, in their pitches, the 10 to 15 minutes that you have with these investors. There was a disconnect between what they thought that they should share and what investors really wanted to see and hear. And the result of that was losing deals with people who honestly could potentially be $1 billion company. They just weren't conveying their message correctly. So, the VCs lose and the founders lose when you can't talk the talk, right? I tell all of the people in our cohort that I think VC is just a big game. You can have people who are really good at sales and they walk in the door and they're able to, sway investors to be able to give them $1 million in seed just because they know the right things to say. So I am here to help you guys be the ones to sway the investors. So we have our bi-weekly calls. And in that you can bring absolutely anything to me, of course, but generally it'll follow the module that we're in. So back to that agricultural aspect, right? The tilling, the planting, we will work together with whatever module you're working on. And there's a really set structure to it, which I think is something that's really beautiful about Fulcrum compared to other accelerators is there is a tremendous amount of structure and support. And we track you guys in the most non-creepy way possible. We sit down for maybe about 3 hours every week, me, Sharn, and Will, and we go through your progress and basically figure out where you're at. Are you struggling? Are you going through a pivot? It's really personal, which I think is incredibly unique for an accelerator that's specifically focused on fundraising. So with that, I get the information I need to be able to go and meet with you guys one-on-one. Maybe some people are having a hard time developing their quick pitch or their 5-word pitch. A lot of it is, I should have mentioned, I transitioned into consulting before I moved to Fulcrum based on seeing this disconnect between founders and investors. So I'm kind of here, what I saw in the past was you need to be able to figure out your pitch, your quick pitch first. Like, what is your messaging? What is your business model? Does that make sense before you go on to build a pitch deck, right? So I'm here to kind of help you massage all of that and look at it from the lens of an investor to help it make it seem as convincing and compelling as possible. So you'll be able to meet with me bi-weekly. And, we have a Slack channel for you guys to ask questions. We help founders across the board. But I'm kind of your in-house venture partner. That's my role.
Yeah.
So, you guys can, I'm just here the whole time. So it's a unique perspective. And if you guys submit your application, I'm sure I'll meet you there as well and dig a bit deeper into your company.
Great. Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, what we've done with bringing Mel onto the team is we now have the perspective of the other side of the table. And the perspective on the other side of the table is very different. And Mel, you've been amazing with our founders, helping them to see from the investor's side how they need to actually talk about what they're doing in order to get people excited and close the round. So it's been amazing. All right, I'm going to share some more slides from inside the structure of the program here. So of course, we do our live sessions every Thursday. We have either a live session or a working session, and that's an opportunity for everybody to get together, get your questions answered, bond as a group, and work through the program together. Then we do one-on-one strategy calls that we just talked about. We've got our Slack mastermind, which has like 20 or 30 channels, everyone sharing their wins, sharing their decks, sharing their pitches, sharing investor lists, all kinds of incredible content getting shared among all the different founders that are in each cohort of Fundraising Mastery. Then we do our working sessions on every other Thursday. And then every founder in the cohort is put into a group. So this is a way to provide more accountability, more networking, and honestly, just more firepower. So if you get into Fundraising Mastery, you'll be put in a group with other founders who are in the same position as you, are either raising a pre-seed round or a seed round. And you'll meet every week with your group. And some of these groups have met for years after the program. And so this is a way to just grow your network, provide accountability, get feedback and connection from other founders, because it can be a lonely situation being a founder. And then mentors. So this is new this year. We have recruited, or Sharn has recruited and created an incredible mentor program. So Sharn, I'd love to pass it over to you to talk about our mentor program a little bit and how that works.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. I know I jumped into this right off the bat because I was super excited about it. Our mentors, like I said up front, they've cumulatively raised over $700 million for their respective companies. We really look for mentors who can align with you specifically. So whatever industry you're in, fundraising, obviously, as a whole, we're here to teach you the skill of fundraising, and we bring our own experiences. I myself am a 2-time tech founder as well. So we bring our own experiences to the table, but you're going to have some specific needs based on your specific industry. So if you're in retail or in hospitality or something else that the team ourselves haven't had our hands in, we really think it'd be beneficial for you to be paired with somebody who has been there, who's raised capital in that space at the VC level, and who could potentially introduce you to other investors in their own network and provide you with some insights that are important to you. So this was the first time that we've done it. Actually, it was for the current cohort, and it's been going pretty well, actually really well. We've gotten great feedback from the quality about the quality of our mentors, and our founders are very excited to be working with them. So we're just going to continue to grow that program out. And even for this next cohort, if we have anyone who joins who doesn't have, we don't have a mentor that's in that industry, that's, top of mind for me, then that's all I'm going to be working on, is to find you that right one. And our mentors meet with you once a week for the course of the program. Now that we're winding down the session that we're doing right now, our fifth cohort, a few of the founders have said that they're going to continue meeting with their mentors after the fact. So I think that's fantastic news. I'm really happy to hear that some bonds have been created there, and everyone's going to continue working together.
Yeah, thanks, Sharn. So Sharn took the ball with this and started running last year, and then she would start posting in our Fulcrum Slack, like, okay, cumulatively our mentors have raised $100 million. And we're like, wow, Sharn, that's a lot of experience. This is incredible. And then she's like, 200 million. And we're like, are you serious, Sharn? And then she's like, 400 million. And now, what is it, 700? It's
720 million. And so obviously the goal is $1 billion, right? That's
right.
Where we're at.
So it's an incredible amount of experience, and seeing our founders get paired with folks who've raised like $30 million or $50 million is really incredible, because it's not just the experience they have to help with the raise, but it's like the network that they bring to the table and just the resources to help our founders get over the finish line. Awesome. Okay, another one for Sharn, for you, perks. So we have a perks program. If you are admitted into Fundraising Mastery, you automatically qualify for a whole, I think it's like dozens or 100 or more perks that we have negotiated for our companies. So again, Sharn, I'll pass it over to you to talk about the perks.
All right. Yes, we have a perks program. So in your business, you guys are founders, you're spending a lot of money already on subscriptions, different things across the board from Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Google, anything in the cloud, any documents that need to be signed, payment processing, marketing materials, marketing services, MailChimp, whatever it is. I'm just throwing out names here. All in all, we have a program that gives you $1 million back in perks. So lots of savings here for your business. We've worked really hard actually to build that up. That number was, I believe, 150,000 last year. By the end of last year, it was 300,000, and now we're at $1 million in perks. So, just being a part of the program, being an alumni, there's always ongoing benefits as well. So, even this perks program that we have now, we're going to go back and extend it out to anyone who's joined us in the past as well. So as we continue to grow, we really want to keep supporting past founders as well as the current ones. So super excited about the perks program.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sharn. Right. So if you're a member of our alumni network, if you get accepted into Fundraising Mastery and you do the program, then you become one of our alumni and you get to benefit from all the growing, the growing network and the growing amount of perks and everything that's coming down the pipe. So also as part of Fundraising Mastery, I created an audio program called Get Funded. And so Get Funded is me walking through all the steps of this fundraising process from the beginning, the very, very beginning, the first thing to do through to the last thing to do. And it's about 50 lessons, I believe. So there's like 50 lessons that take you from 0 to 60 and 60 is ideally like you've got cash in the bank. And actually there's a module, okay, you've raised your seed round, now what? Like what to think about when you've got that cash in the bank and it's done. And I'll just go through a few of the elements of this Get Funded program because I honestly think it's the best early stage fundraising program on earth. I spent a lot of time and I interviewed a whole bunch of investors and other founders, put together everything that we could possibly think of to give you everything that you need as a founder to succeed. So there's a whole bonus section inside Get Funded where we give you pitch templates and different ways to assess your values and the right kind of investors to approach for your opportunity, cheat sheets for how to do investor meetings. There's this thing called term sheet teardowns where it's me going through term sheets and breaking down every single term and how to think about the terms, which ones you should look out for, which ones don't matter as much. And I do this for equity round, like equity term sheets and also convertible term sheets so that you can understand as much as any founder, what is important when you're negotiating one of these deals and what you don't need to worry about. And this, my idea was like, I want to save people thousands of dollars in legal fees. Also, we give you the documents that you might need. So this could be worth like $15,000 or more if you're doing an equity round. Even if you're not doing an equity round now, in the future, if you're doing an equity round, this could save you $15,000. This is a complete set of documents for any round that you might be doing, whether it's a convertible round, a safe round, or an equity round, including like board consents and restated and amended charters and everything that you need to do a round. So we could probably like sell this as its own program, but it's just included. $1 million email templates. So these are how to write emails and what to say in order to close investors without calls or meetings. This happened to me a number of times and I just thought it was the best thing ever. When I would get an email back and forth exchange and then the person would be like, all right, I'm in. So I took those emails and made templates for everybody so that you can do the same thing. And then seed round secrets is like me interviewing a bunch of investors and actually asking them like, what's the stuff that nobody says? Like, what is the inside baseball that nobody talks about? And a few of these people actually asked to have their voices changed so that they wouldn't be identifiable and they could really be candid. And so you get that as part of the program. And then a massive Q&A of me answering like every startup question, every startup fundraising question that I've been asked. So this, again, is just to get you up to speed and save you months or years in wasted time and effort. So that's Get Funded. That's included. If you're admitted to Fundraising Mastery, that's part of the deal. All right, so I want to take some questions now. We've got like 20 minutes left. I'm gonna stop the share here. Sharn, what do we got?
Yeah, so Dave is asking about what our definition of pre-seed and seed is, and if you haven't raised before, what bucket are you in? And that's kind of a vague big thing, and I think a lot of founders ask that question.
Yeah, great question. It's always best to start at the beginning. So even if you're crushing it and you have $1 million in ARR, if you've never raised money, you could even say this is a friends and family round, because you're going to be the most accomplished friends and family round that anybody who's investing in a friends and family round has seen. So if you haven't already raised a pre-seed, I would call it pre-seed. If you have already raised a pre-seed and you're at the seed stage, then you could call it seed. But generally, what you call the round denotes to the investors what stage is this company at. Like if you say it's a Series A, then they're going to expect certain things. If you say it's a seed, they're going to the bar is lower, they're going to expect less. If you say pre-seed, they're going to expect less. So it's actually to your advantage to raise in the round where investors are going to have the lowest expectations, so that you can be the best company in that class. It's kind of like if you're a high school soccer player and then you go and you play with the middle schoolers, like you're gonna whoop them. Cool. So let's get some other questions going, and also I want to work in Roger. So welcome, Roger Mann, one of our current Fundraising Mastery founders. Do you want to give a little intro?
Sure. Thanks, Will. My name is Roger Mann. I'm CEO of Smart Response, and we're AI for first responders. We're in the public safety sector, which is an extremely daunting one from both, going to the market and attracting investors. So the building blocks, the tough love, the subgroups that you've been hearing about from Will and Melanie and Sharn, they're real. And I can tell you there's an early module called Rookie Mistakes. And I had bent my pick, so to speak, making about 17 of the 25 rookie mistakes. And you really do have to start from these confidence building blocks in order to engage these investors in a cogent, compelling, clear way. And it's working. One of the other things you'll learn is the abundance mentality. And I can tell you, before I started Fulcrum, I thought I had a lot of potential investors, and it was about 15. And now I have 180. And I'm in the watering phase. I've got, several lead investors that are interested, that we're working through some of the details of what the deal will be. But I was nowhere close to that until I went to the program. And then the other thing I'll offer up, and you can ask me any questions about my experience, but one of the real intangibles is the subgroups. So I have, 3 other cohort members. So the 4 of us get together every week, and we try pitches on each other. We share, techniques. We share lists of investors. And while there's a treasure trove of material in Slack, you get some additional boost and confidence building, interacting with the smaller groups. And it's truly international. Like one of the people in my subgroups is out of Oslo, Norway, and he's a genius. He's really fun to work with. So I'll leave it at that. And I'm happy to answer any experiential questions anyone might have.
Yeah, great, Roger. I'd love to, what were your biggest ahas so far going through the process?
Well, I'll start right with your last word there, process. Like, there is no shortcuts. And I think when you've been successful, which I have in business, but I've never started a company and raised money, you think, well, I can do something really clever and cut some corners here and there, and but you can't. You gotta do one thing at a time. You got to do it right. The abundance thing was a big aha, to turn the tables so that you're not supplicating, as we'll call it, and you start to say, look, I'm the prize and I am unique. Money is everywhere. What we've done is remarkable and societally changing, and you have the opportunity to join. So that was a big aha for me. I was much more in the role of looking earnestly at money, and now I was like, wait a second, we're changing the world. You get the opportunity to join us.
Yeah, great. It's been amazing watching you progress from the beginning of the program when we were doing investor sessions to now. Do you want to talk about that
Yeah,
experience
well,
for you?
yeah, I'll say the pitch that I had was ugly and hard to understand. It through the lens, and like Mel and Will and Sharn all helped, get it so that the audience could really understand what it is that you were doing and why you were going to be successful doing it. And all the powerful things we had, but didn't come across at all in our pitch. And it used to take, oh gosh, maybe forever, but at least 15 minutes before anybody understood what the heck I was saying. So, yeah.
How long does it take now?
Now it's a matter of like 15, 20 seconds to get initial understanding.
Yeah. It's been amazing watching you like integrate the process and put it into practice. So well done, Roger. And
Thank you. Appreciate it.
looking forward to big things for you and your team. If anybody has any questions for Roger, toss them in the chat there about his experience. We can get those answered as well. Got a question here. What do you look for in a typical application? So we look for somebody who we believe is going to succeed and build something exciting and world-changing, impactful. So generally that's a founder who's been successful before in another area of life and is now raising seed capital for the first time. So it's somebody who has a proven ability to look at a challenge, learn how to surmount that challenge, and then go ahead and do it. And what we found is that if founders have been successful in other areas and now they're coming to raising seed capital for the first time, that's a great predictor of them being successful in raising their seed round. We also look for founders who are coachable and who are working on something that we believe in, that we feel like is going to make the world a better place in some significant way. So we have turned down companies that are doing things that we just don't feel excited, or like it's in gambling and we think it's just going to create more people who are addicted to gambling. We will turn companies like that down. Sharn, do you have anything to add on that question of what do we look for in a typical application, or Mel?
No, I think you nailed it. It's really about, who are you? What are you working on? Do we believe that you're fundable? Obviously, that's a big thing, but also what can you bring to sort of the world? What is it that you're building and creating, and what's this impact you're going to make? And is it something we can get behind? Because obviously you need us to believe in you if you want to succeed. But also we believe that there's a shift in the world, and we're not trying to recreate things that have happened in the past, and how can we make the world better? And so how do we do that with our founders, and how do we get you there?
Yeah. Anything to add, Mel? What do you look for when you're doing interviews?
I come at it from a little bit of more of a technical standpoint, not gonna lie, just because it's hard to take that investor hat off.
You're like, is this going to make money?
At the end of the day, yeah. Because that's what they're at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for. Yeah. To be totally frank, is this something that can scale? And I will say that it's not, if you don't think that you're going to be $1 billion company, that does not mean that you won't get into this program. It just means that we will help you raise a realistic amount of capital from a certain type of individual or VC. We have, I think, a couple people who are just raising angel rounds, right? But we totally believe in their mission and they're absolutely fundable. But it just depends on the difference. I think sometimes, I do talk about people who are just, we don't accept total dreamers, right? There has to be something tangible. Because you're pre-seed, seed, if you don't have revenue, that is okay. But there has to be more than just an idea. And and if it is just an idea, there's more prying that needs to get done. So it's not I don't have a full answer for you guys, but please apply and let me dig in. Yeah, it's exciting. So that's what I have to offer.
Great. Thanks, Mel. So I think I see Sharn put the application link in the chat there. So our applications do close on March 8th, which is soon, in a week. So you got a week. We're already accepting founders into the program and enrolling founders into this cohort. So the earlier you apply, the better. And we got another question here, maybe for you, Roger. How or what process did Roger use to 10x the potential investors over what time frame?
Yeah, I was actually typing in an answer, so I put that back into chat. But fundamentally, step one of that, which is part of the program, is, and it's a rigorous exercise to create your picture perfect avatar of the investor you're seeking, because you don't want to start casting nets to ones that don't have the right affinities to add value as an investor to your company. So once you have that, then there's a treasure trove of angel lists and seed stage VCs that you will be made available to you, which I had no idea they even existed. And then you do have to grind through. I spent, I'd say, a good 30 hours to go through and call down and research on all of those. There's also a technique that I learned in the program about connectors, and how the connectors will then help amplify and grow your list of qualified investors. And then there's just a lot of hard work of reaching out. There's a variety of techniques the program teaches you how do you engage that list. And truly, in about, I guess it's about 6 weeks, it took me to get from 15 investors to 180.
Yeah, well done. And yeah, it's great. It's been great. Like I've said already, Roger, you've been incredibly coachable in terms of what do I need to do? Okay. And then go do it and then come back and say, okay, I did that. What's next? And that's what we look for, because we have the recipe and we can give you the exact steps. And if somebody listening is like, yes, I can do that. I can take the ball and I can run with it and get whatever needs to get done, and then come back for the next step, then you will succeed in this program, because there's really nowhere for you to not succeed at that point. We're going to make sure that your pitch and your deck and all your materials look good, and you're saying the right stuff. You're getting in front of the right people. You know what to do when you're in front of those people. The 7 steps of every investor meeting, we go through that. So we're trying to make it so there's really nowhere to hide for people who are committed and coachable and want to just get this done. Sharn, do we have some more questions?
We're getting a question around, and we get this too when I do screening calls and stuff like that, right? Do you guys introduce us to investors? Do we have to find them ourselves? What's that process like? And it really is a mixture of both. We have an investor network of 500 actually. So we do, we bring in investors twice a week, like we'll set up front. And a big part of that, and I, as Roger was saying too, has to do with what work are you putting in as well. We're showing you what needs to be done and we're guiding you along the process. You might come back and say, Sharn, I had 4 VC calls today and I don't know what's going on, but I'm getting stuck at this question. Or you'll post it in Slack, or you'll talk to your group about it, or in one of our working sessions, and everyone just jumps in to say, okay, let's hear it, let's pitch. Or maybe you'll pitch to one of our investors on one of our weekly calls, and everyone's on the side giving you, tips in Slack, saying, okay, here, slow down here, or answer the question this way, or whatever it is. So we're all helping you tweak those investor interactions as well. So it's not just about, are you introducing us to investors? Yes, there is that. There's also, how do you narrow down your ideal investor? What's your investor avatar? And then narrowing that down, building that list up for yourself, and then also using the feedback from ourselves, from your colleagues in the program, from the investors themselves, to continue and grow that way. So it's holistic. It's not just, here's a list of investors or something, and now you go meet them. Sorry, I jumped in to answer that one, Will I?
Yeah, great, Sharn. Yeah, it's really, finding the right investors, there's 2 parts to it. One is getting ready and getting all your materials dialed so that you're ready when you meet the right people. And the other part of it is it's just a matching problem. So the investor needs to like you, needs to like your market and your product and what you're working on. There needs to be chemistry there, and it needs to be a timing match and a stage match. And so we help our founders understand who are the right investors for where they're at, and then try to get them in front of as many of those people as possible. Somebody asked, like, do we work with founders until they get the round closed? And yeah, that's my intention, is for founders to enter into fundraising mastery and then stay with us until they close their seed round, and we can all celebrate with some champagne, on Zoom, maybe in Costa Rica or something. We're organizing that for next year. And then we can send them off and say, okay, now the training wheels are off. You know how to ride the bike. You raised your seed round. Now you can go raise your A round, your B round. It's all the same stuff from there. And if we can do that consistently over time, we're going to build an alumni network of founders who are building impactful companies. And maybe they build one company, they sell it, they build another one, they sell that, they build a third one. And that's how we're going to have the biggest impact in the world. So that's our goal. And the thing that we work on every day is to help you as a founder learn how to do this very weird skill so that you can then go and raise as much money for the rest of your career as you need to. All right, we probably have a time for one or two other questions. Any popping out to you, Sharn?
Just scrolling. We do have questions around program costs.
Yeah, so I can address that. So we charge, there's two ways that Fulcrum is compensated. One is cash. We charge a small program fee, which covers, the cost of our team and all the infrastructure that I laid out. And then we take a small amount of equity in the companies in the form of a warrant. And so that warrant gives us the right to purchase shares at the same terms as the investors in your next round. And so the intention there is that we'll get you funded. When you get funded, we have an option to purchase some equity. And over time, as your company becomes more valuable, that equity becomes valuable. And so that equity pool that we're creating is over time becoming more and more valuable. And that's the second way that Fulcrum gets compensated. Yeah, if you have more questions about that, there's certain things. Sometimes we offer scholarships on the fee for certain companies or certain people in certain situations. The best thing to do is to apply, get on a call with Sharn or Mel, and we'll see if you're a good fit. And then if you're a good fit and we like you, then we'll try and get you in the program.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that we do offer a guarantee.
Yes, thank you.
That, which I think is key. Being founders ourselves, we understand that capital is limited and you're trying to figure out where's the best place to put that money, but we're asking you to invest in yourself. And if you enroll into the program, if you're offered a place in the program, we're investing in you. We believe that, you have what it takes to raise that capital that you're looking for and build impactful companies. And so for that reason, we have a program guarantee, which basically refunds the entire program fee paid and voids the warrant. If after the first session you feel that it's not a right fit for you, no questions asked, we will do that. And alternatively, at the end, so it's a 12-week program, Fundraising Mastery, and if at the end of the 12 weeks you feel you didn't get the value you expected from the program, we're all out to lunch and we are snake oil salesmen or whatever it is, we're happy to refund that as long as you showed up and you did the work, you met with your mentors, you met with your coaches, you reached out to us, and you did the part that you were supposed to do. If at the end of all of that, you didn't feel you get what you expected, then that's the second part of our guarantee. We will refund the full program fee and void the warrant. And again, that's because we've been in your shoes.
Yeah, great, Sharn. Thanks for mentioning that. All right, well, I think we're coming to the end here. If there's other questions, we might have time for one more. If somebody has a burning question, toss it in the chat there.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little random number generator thing.
Yes, right, our free coaching session. So
yeah,
let's figure out who wins that.
Okay, so on my list, 1, 2, 3, Dwayne King.
Dwayne King, you are the winner of the free coaching session. Congratulations. Sharn, would you toss your email in the chat there as well?
Yeah.
And let's put the application link there again. Anybody interested to apply to this cohort of Fundraising Mastery or a future cohort of Fundraising Mastery, that'll be at fulcrumventureaccelerator.com /fundraising mastery. And there it is. And there's Sharn's email as well. So yeah, I want to thank you, Roger, for giving us some of your time to let people know about your experience in the program. Thank you, Mel and Sharn, for coming and giving us your time as well. And to any founders out there, if you're raising seed capital, feeling frustrated, you want to just learn from the pros and get it done, we would love to meet you. And every cohort we do keeps getting better and better. And we're really excited about this 6th cohort that we're doing right now. So really looking forward to meeting you. And as we do at Fulcrum, since fundraising is all about energy, we're going to go out with a little tunes here. Hope everybody has an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Let's see if we can get some tunes. Here we go.
I swear to God, you guys, this is exactly what we're like.
All right.
Bye, guys.
We'll leave it there. Have a great Wednesday, everyone. Bye.